Imagine unlocking the secret to unbelievably fertile garden soil with materials you might already have lying around. For half a year I conducted a groundbreaking experiment pitting the ancient power of biochar against the everyday humble cardboard. The visible differences in my plants and soil by the end were astounding, revealing a simple truth that could revolutionize your gardening success. Which one came out on top? My journey into this fascinating experiment began with a simple question that nagged at me every time I walked through my garden. Could two completely different soil amendments really produce such dramatically different results? As a gardener who's always been curious about the science beneath our feet, I decided to put both biochar and cardboard to the ultimate test in identical growing conditions. I established two 4x8 raised beds with exactly the same base soil mixture, sun exposure, and watering schedule. One bed received a generous application of homemade biochar I'd created from hardwood scraps, while the other got layers of plain corrugated cardboard placed directly on the soil surface before planting. Both beds were planted with the same varieties of tomatoes, peppers, and lettuce, giving me multiple data points to observe throughout the growing season. On day 0, both soil plots looked remarkably similar in color, texture, and apparent fertility. The cardboard bed had an obviously different surface appearance with its brown corrugated layers, while the biochar bed displayed the characteristic dark, chunky texture that makes biochar so visually distinctive. Little did I know that beneath these surface differences, two entirely different soil ecosystems were about to emerge. Within just 3 weeks, the biochar bed began showing signs of something special happening underground. The plants emerged with noticeably stronger stems and deeper green foliage, displaying the kind of vigorous early growth that makes any gardener's heart sing. What struck me most was how the soil itself began to change, developing a crumbly, well-aggregated structure that felt alive between my fingers. Biochar's immediate impact on soil aggregation became apparent during the first month when I noticed how easily water penetrated the soil, while simultaneously being retained for plant use. This phenomenon occurs because biochar's porous structure, created during the pyrolysis process, acts like tiny sponges throughout the soil matrix. Each piece of biochar contains thousands of microscopic pores that can hold both water and nutrients, releasing them slowly to plant roots as needed. The microbiological activity in the biochar bed seemed to explode during these early months, evidenced by the rich, earthy smell that developed and the increased presence of beneficial insects and soil organisms. Biochar provides an ideal habitat for mycorrhizal fungi and beneficial bacteria, creating what soil scientists call microbial hotels, where these organisms can establish thriving communities. This underground ecosystem was clearly feeding my plants in ways that standard soil amendments simply couldn't match. Meanwhile, the cardboard bed told a completely different story during those crucial first 3 months. The initial decomposition process was, honestly, visually fascinating to watch, as the corrugated layers slowly began breaking down and integrating with the soil beneath. However, this breakdown came with some unexpected challenges that, well, really tested my patience as a gardener. During the first month, I noticed signs of what soil scientists call nitrogen tie-up, where the decomposing cardboard temporarily bound up available nitrogen as soil microorganisms worked to break down the carbon-rich material. My plants in this bed showed slightly yellowed leaves and slower initial growth, which is a pretty common occurrence when adding high-carbon materials to soil without balancing them with nitrogen sources. However, month 2 brought some delightful surprises that reminded me why cardboard has such devoted advocates in the permaculture community. The decomposing cardboard became a magnet for earthworms, creating what appeared to be a thriving worm metropolis beneath the surface. Every time I gently pulled back the remaining cardboard layers, I discovered dozens of worms working tirelessly to process the organic matter and create rich castings. This biological activity suggested that while the short-term plant response might be modest, significant soil building was happening at a deeper level. By harvest time, the differences between these two beds were nothing short of remarkable, providing clear evidence of how different soil amendments can create entirely different growing environments. The biochar bed produced plants that were consistently larger, more productive, and more resilient to environmental stresses throughout the growing season. When I carefully dug into both beds to examine the soil structure, the biochar bed revealed a transformation that exceeded my expectations. The soil had developed a rich black color with excellent drainage and moisture retention properties. More importantly, the root systems of plants grown in biochar-amended soil were notably more extensive and healthier, with visible mycorrhizal associations that indicated thriving soil biology. The cardboard bed, while initially slower to establish, showed its own unique benefits that became apparent over time. The soil beneath the decomposed cardboard had developed an incredibly rich organic layer that felt like premium potting mix. The continuous earthworm activity had created a soil structure with excellent aggregation and organic matter content, though it took the full 6 months to achieve these results. So, the scientific explanation for these differences, well, it really comes down to the fundamentally different ways these materials interact with soil systems. Biochar, for example, provides immediate structural benefits and creates habitats for microbes, all while staying stable in the soil for decades or even centuries. On the other hand, cardboard, since it's a biodegradable organic material, actually feeds soil organisms directly, but it does need some time to decompose and fully integrate into the soil ecosystem. So, understanding the cost-benefit analysis between these two approaches can really help you make the best choice for your specific gardening situation and goals. Biochar does require either purchasing or making your own, which, involves some time and resources, but it provides immediate and long-lasting benefits that justify the initial investment for many gardeners. Cardboard, on the other hand, is often available for free from local businesses or even your own household, making it an accessible entry point into soil building that works especially well for long-term garden development projects. The most exciting discovery from this experiment, honestly, came when I realized that these two amendments don't actually have to compete against each other. In fact, combining biochar and cardboard in a layered approach might just provide the best of both worlds. You get immediate soil structure improvement from biochar, and long-term organic matter building from decomposing cardboard. This combination strategy allows gardeners to enjoy quick plant response while also building soil health for future seasons. Your own soil conditions, climate, and gardening goals are ultimately what's going to determine which approach works best for your situation. I really encourage you to try your own small-scale experiments, maybe just start with a single raised bed or even a couple of large containers, to see how these amendments perform in your unique growing conditions. Remember, the best garden amendments are the ones you'll actually use consistently, and both biochar and cardboard offer practical, accessible ways to transform your soil health over time. The key is understanding how each one works, and choosing the approach that fits your gardening style and resources. So, don't forget to subscribe to the Living Soil Lab for more hands-on gardening experiments, and share this guide with fellow gardeners who are ready to take their soil health to the next level. Your soil is really the foundation of everything that grows above it, and these simple amendments can unlock its hidden potential in ways that might just surprise you.